Get your attention, please. Thank you so much for being here this evening. I would like to introduce to the stage Illinois State Senator Mike Simmons.
Why, hello. Good evening. I can't hear none of y'all. Good evening. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, everybody, I'm Mike Simmons. I serve as the state senator for the 7th District of Illinois, which covers the far north side of Chicago. So if you are in the neighborhoods of Uptown, Edgewater, Rogers Park, Lincoln Square, North Center, West Ridge, Lakeview, Wrigleyville, Andersonville, you are my constituent, and you should get to know me a little better. I am so proud to see you all here today. I want to say welcome to the Midwest reception of the Victory Fund. I know we've all waited a year for this night. It's always one of my favorite nights of the year. I want to thank the Venue West for hosting us tonight, for being such a great ally to our community. I obviously want to thank the staff that helped to put on this event. Kristen, Josh, you all worked so hard to make this possible, and we appreciate you for what you do. And, I want to, before we start to present the awards for this evening, I want to just talk a little bit about the times that we're living in. In the 2.5 years that I've been in the Illinois Senate, first of all, I was the first openly LGBTQ person elected to serve in the Illinois Senate. And we're just getting started, and I want to tell you a little bit about my Victory Fund story. So first of all, a shout out to my partner, Michael Sullivan, who is the love of my life, who is right here in the front. You guys say hi to everybody. Michael and I tell you about how we met. It was 5 years ago. We just had our 5-year anniversary last week. And I walked into a Victory Fund brunch in 2018 on a Sunday morning. I was tired. I had been out partying the night before. And, we know that lifestyle. And it was the end of the event, and I saw him from across the room, and I was immediately smitten. And I went over and I asked him, small talk for like 30 seconds, and I said, hey, let me get your contact info. I'd like to take you out on an informational date. Because he worked in healthcare, and I said, I want to learn a little bit about healthcare. So I wrote his email down on the back of an envelope, and 2 weeks later we got together, and one thing led to another, and he has been behind me every step of the way. He is my rock. There's no way I could do this work if it were not for the way that he loves me and supports me, so I just had to point that out. And since I've been in the state senate, there are a couple of things that I've been able to champion that I want to share with you tonight. First, last year, I introduced legislation to outlaw book banning in all Illinois schools. And the reason I did that is because we are seeing people running for school boards right now in Illinois on an explicit agenda to ban books about LGBTQ people. It sucks, it's stupid, it's undemocratic, and we have got to fight that tooth and nail. We will not compromise on our history and on who we are. We will not be erased from our curricula. We want the next generation of LGBTQ people to know about our struggles. We're not going to let them turn back the clock on our community, right? And we only get that with representation, and I wanted to point that out. The second thing is we started the lame duck session here in the Illinois Senate in January having a debate around abortion and gender-affirming care. And there was a point where the legislation was going to move forward on reproductive rights, and they were going to leave out our trans siblings and gender-expansive siblings who we know need access to health care, that need access to gender-affirming care. And we were going to pass that legislation as if they didn't exist. And that was one of the first times as a state senator that I like to use the metaphor of breaking glass. Breaking a glass is when you speak your truth and your voice starts to shake and you push back against the people that are in charge where you serve. And you say, I will not accept a situation where we pass legislation and pretend like our trans siblings are not being hunted in all of the surrounding states around Illinois. I spoke up, my colleagues started to speak up when we lost our collective fear, and we passed that legislation with gender-affirming protections. And I think about my mom, who, when I was 11 years old, at a school in Chicago, I was bullied and assaulted for being a gay youth. A security guard pulled me aside one day and told me I walk like a little F-A-G-G-O-T. And if I kept walking like that, he would punch me in my face. And so I ran into a classroom in front of 39 of my 10 and 11-year-old peers, And I told my teacher what happened, and she said, well, maybe you are F-U-A-G-G-O-T. And my mother, who passed away 3 years ago, always told me if I felt like something was unjust, even as an 11-year-old, I had her permission to do something about it. And if I was ever feeling like in a school setting the adults were humiliating or mistreating me, I had her permission to call her, even if I had to climb over the adults in the building to do so. And so even though my mother, Ramona, is no longer with us, her legacy shapes how I approach my role as Illinois' first openly gay state senator, when we fight for gender-affirming protections, when we fight to outlaw book banning in our schools, when we fight for legislation I passed with Kelly Cassidy, my state rep, last year, that makes it easier for people to access PrEP and PEP medications, because we all know what it's like to not be served well by a healthcare system that acts like we don't exist. That's the kind of representation I'm talking about, and that's the type of representation that the Victory Fund positions us all to lead with. So I thank you to the Victory Fund for supporting us and empowering us and showing us how to use our voice and showing us how to fight with these. I love you for it. And with that, tonight I'm going to be presenting 2 awards, the Impact and the Midwest Award. The first award will go to, these are actually 2 very good friends of mine that I've known for a long time. So I might get a little emotional, but the first goes to my good friend who is such a fierce leader in our communities and beyond, Mona Noriega. I'm still learning how to do the whole politician thing. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you. What do I gotta say just 2 words, right? Yeah, okay. Actually, he didn't tell you that we were in Victory Fund training together.
That's right.
That was, clearly it worked for him. So thank you. It's an honor to be recognized, and it's always an honor to be recognized with Director Bennett, who comes up next. You know, when I helped open the Midwest Regional Office of Lambda 30 years ago, wow. Some of the cases on the docket were about AIDS, about serving in the military, employment, and there was one case in Hawaii that for me was the beginning of marriage equality. Lambda actually won that case, but then Hawaii changed their state constitution to eliminate our equality. At the time, I didn't think that marriage equality was possible. I clearly did not have the imagination to envision a social change so large. But I lived through that change and other important changes, and I recognize that real change is possible. I look at this audience today, and I recognize change makers. There's so many of you out here, actually, that I can't even begin to name you all. Marchers, protesters, donors, voters, appointed and elected officials, change requires all of us. But we know that change can go both ways, and thus the wave of anti-trans bills across the country. Our work is ongoing, it's not done. And being in this room of change makers, I'm thankful, and I'm honored to be amongst you. Thank you, Victory Fund, for recruiting, yay recruiting, training, and supporting change makers, and thank you for this recognition.
And the second awardee for the Impact in Midwest Award goes to my old friend, Jim Bennett.
I'm smiling. Thanks. I'm counting this as a standing ovation because I've never had one before. It is, Mona and I love each other. Like, it is just sweet to get this award with Mona. I followed her at Lambda. She's a mentor of mine since almost the day I moved to Chicago. The first person that ever hired me in theater, which was huge. A $50 check, and it was like the biggest thing I'd ever had. And I also want to acknowledge my husband, Terry, for being my partner in this awesome journey. He just got an award, too. It's the National Academy of Medicine. And I don't understand it, but it's huge. It's gigantic. And he's part of the shared activist work. And, I took right over after Mona, so we were in Iowa for marriage. And the way that I would always start my stories when I was trying to sell marriage to Iowans was if Terry had a horrible Princess Diana-like crash on Lakeshore Drive, we would be legal strangers, and I wouldn't get all this stuff, and I wouldn't be able to help him. And he would get so frustrated because he'd be like, why am I always the one to die? And I'm like, I have to tell the story. But I really believe Chicago is just the best place in the world, certainly one of the most awesome places to be queer. It's a city that takes you in. I came from Springfield, is where I grew up, and it lets you play your part. You can find your place here, and I was able to be my full self and be accepted, find a community, this community, so many of you here, and it allowed me to play a very small part with all of you in fighting for our rights and our freedoms. And I think it's important to recognize that Illinois is not just a dark blue oasis by accident. We all work together. It was with careful intent. Obviously, I have a Lambda legal bent. The new regional director's here, right there. We'll be your friend as well. But it's hard work, and it's protecting and working, drafting our laws. It's recruiting amazing candidates. It's making sure we're at the table, because we have to be at the table, and we're also outside still protesting. And we are electing people that look and act like us. And I want to share a story from the last session earlier this year about my friend Mike and also my senator, Mike Simmons. There was a debate on the gender-neutral bathroom bill, which was just a really common sense bill for those that followed it. It was just giving tools of how to move forward for Illinois. And there was this Republican senator, shock, a Republican, Neil Anderson, and he's just an awful person, and he threatened to beat up, no, he really is, and he threatened to beat up any trans person if they were in the bathroom with his child. And it was outrageous, and it was so upsetting. But, and I mean this completely respectfully, we have a lot of allies in the Illinois Assembly. We really do, good friends of ours. And I don't mean any disrespect to any of them, but there was only one person, and it was Senator Mike Simmons, who called him out, demanded his words be removed from the record, and no one else had the courage or decency to do that, to demand the respect that our trans brothers and sisters, that our community deserve. And that shows you how important Victory Fund is. Representation matters. Once he did it, other people had the courage to move with him, but not until then, and it would not have happened without you. And it was the most emotional I think I've ever been sitting in that gallery, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm so proud that you're my senator, so thank you. Thank you. As we move to another election where, once again, democracy is completely on the line, I encourage people to support Victory Fund because they are a key player in making sure that we survive this. And I think Greg O'Neill's here somewhere. I promised to do this plug. We're starting this group we're calling Q-Force. It'll change likely. But our goal is to recruit 500 people that are going to go to Michigan and Wisconsin next year and go door to door and make sure that those states go the way they need to go. So check out Greg. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Mike.
Please welcome to the stage former mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot.
That's Private Citizen Lightfoot. I have an introduction to do. Before I do that, I want to just say a few words. First, I want to thank Anise Parker. Yeah, you can give it up for her. Anise Parker is one of my heroes. Not only was she path-breaking, and at the time was the member of our community that headed up the largest city in the United States as the mayor of Houston. What she has done in the last few years to really revitalize the Victory Fund is nothing short of heroic. And we owe her a debt of gratitude. And I'll talk about that in a second, but I just want to say thank you, Anise, for everything that you've done. And I'm standing here today as a proud Victory Fund board member. I also want to thank the staff who has worked so diligently to make sure that we had a great event tonight. So let's also give it up for the staff of the Victory Fund. Let me also say to Mona and Jim, two people that I have loved and admired for a really long time, congratulations, well-deserved, and thank you for your tender and precious and needed words. Thank you both. And my last off script, and the staff is like, okay, you got like 30 more seconds. But, indulge me a moment. I also want to give a shout out to Governor Kate Brown, who's here. Governor Kate Brown of Oregon is in our fair city. She is a fellow at the Institute of Politics at the University of Chicago. She's brought some of her students here tonight. But Governor Brown, thank you so much for your leadership, for being a shining light in our community, and we wish you nothing but the best in this next chapter of what I'm sure is going to be an extraordinary continued journey. Thank you, Governor. So now it's my pleasure to introduce and say thank you to a true leader, and that is Tippy McCullough of the Arkansas State Legislature. Being out an elected official in the South is no small task. Being a leader in a state legislature in the South is pretty extraordinary and almost unheard of in our times. And when you look at what's been happening all across these southern states, where we are on the menu, where they are trying to take away our rights, use us as a soundbite and a punching bag for a venomous campaign to strip us of all of our vestiges of citizenship and destroy our democracy. For a leader like Tippy McCullough to be able to stand tall, to do everything that she can to make sure that our voices are heard, and to sew back together the fraying fabric of democracy is nothing short of heroic. She's experienced discrimination firsthand when she was fired from her teaching job because she chose to live her authentic life and marry the woman that she loved. So I'm a big fan. We should all be a big fan. And I just want to thank you so much. Come on up and get your award. So I'm presenting her with the Deb Shore Award, and Deb is here somewhere. Come on out of the shadows, Deb. But you know Deb as a selfless person. Come on up. A selfless person who works hard every single day in the vineyard, really blazed so many trails. This is an award I won a long time ago, and I thought, why the hell am I winning this award? But Deb, thank you. I'm proud that the Victory Fund has continued this tradition of awarding this award, and we give it to you with gratitude. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
You know, when I started this elected job, I could see better. I didn't have to color my hair as much. But here we are. Thank you, Mayor Lightfoot, for that introduction. It's even more special to be here in your city, one of my favorite places in the entire nation, Chicago. I do remember our first meeting back during yours and my campaign in 2018, and I'm just a girl from Hot Springs, Arkansas, and I can't tell you how exciting it was to meet the mayor. But your optimism and your passion for public service has helped sustain me during the toughest fights that I face in the state legislature. Thank you, everyone, for this incredible honor. I honestly can't believe I'm standing here. I'm humbled to hear such kind words about my public service. Thank you, Mayor Parker, and all the leadership at the Victory Fund. You've all been supportive from the beginning, and I would not be here, I would not be where I am in Arkansas without the Victory Fund. So thank you so much. And finally, thank you to Deb Shore, the namesake of this award, for your example and work. I'm truly honored and excited to meet you in person tonight. There are 135 lawmakers at the state capitol in Little Rock. And when you add in cabinet officials, appointments, and our governor, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, that's nearly, that warms my heart, thank you. That's nearly 200 people that are responsible for passing new laws and policies. I'm the only one, the only openly LGBTQ representative or legislator at all. I'm a caucus of one. As many of you know, it's not easy being the only one in the room anywhere. And we all know it's even harder when it's your job to bring more voices and more representation into those rooms. I'm thankful for my support system and my wife, Barbara, when it comes down to just me to speak up for the thousands of LGBTQ plus Arkansans. As a queer person in Arkansas, you need resiliency. We face extreme bills that target us and laws that dehumanize us. And these are not just Arkansas bills, as we all know. They're being filed all over the nation. They take our state and our country backward. You've heard of the trans youth health care bans, the trans youth sports ban, the bathroom bill in schools, the book bans in libraries, the religious freedom attacks on our community, the medical conscience bills, and the Don't Say Gay provision in Governor Sanders' education bill. And a lot of these first started in Arkansas. I know as someone that might not know much about Arkansas, you might be horrified. So am I. But I want you to know it's not just me. I'm thankful I have allies and supporters in our House and Senate caucuses. I do have colleagues who will stand up for our community and lend their voices, and the tide is turning. The optimism we see across the country in Kentucky, Ohio, and Virginia has also extended to the South and even into Arkansas. Yesterday, we just completed our candidate filing period for 2014. And I can tell you we fielded more candidates for the state legislature than we have in a decade. And several of them are LGBTQ plus, and I'm hoping my caucus of one gets a little bigger. I spent 33 years as an educator. I taught English in classrooms and coached basketball all across our state. In small rural towns and in our largest school in Little Rock. I cherished every moment I spent in the classroom and on the sidelines, and each time I saw a student reach their potential, I knew I did my job. After teaching for 28 years in October of 2013, my longtime partner, Barbara, and I were going to the Grand Canyon. Same-sex marriage had become legal. We decided to stop in New Mexico in a courthouse in Albuquerque on our way to the Grand Canyon. At the time, I was teaching in a school in Little Rock. We were going to get married very quietly and return to Arkansas. We had planned to continue living our lives as before, but that didn't happen. About 45 minutes after we were married, I received a call from the school that I had taught at for 14 years asking me if I was getting married. I asked them why they were asking. They said if I did, I would be fired. Well, guess what? That was 45 minutes after I'd been married. I was already married, and so I was fired. It was traumatic. I lost my job, pay, health insurance, retirement, friends, and really my identity. Our beautiful moment turned to fears and tears. We could, as our dear friend, Vice Mayor of Little Rock, Kathy Webb, said to us, either slink away in shame or stand up and fight. Thereafter, I taught at the historic Little Rock Central High School. I found myself in more community meetings, at rallies, and then all the way to the legislature. I've always believed that I am where I'm supposed to be, and I've lived by the motto of making the most of wherever I am. And if I wavered at that, my mom always told me, well, you can stand anything for 2 years. And it's just a coincidence that my term's 2 years, right? But that served me well, and not just because those elections are every 2 years, but I've found belonging in this world, one that isn't always too kind or welcoming to people like me. It can't be said enough that representation is important, and working one step further to achieve leadership positions is necessary to get in the rooms and be a part of the conversations that shape policy. I treasure the support and grace so many have invested in me, including many of you here in this room. I'm serving in my 3rd term, 2nd as minority leader, and running for a 4th. I want you to know I'll continue that fight for equality. I'm excited to continue providing a voice for the thousands of LGBTQ plus Arkansans hoping for a healthier, safer, fairer, and brighter Arkansas. In closing, congratulations to all that are being recognized tonight. Thank you for not forgetting Arkansas and for honoring the work done there through the Deb Shore Award for me tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Anise Parker, and I'm the President and CEO of LGBTQ Plus Victory Fund. Really glad to see everybody tonight, and it's great to be back in Chicago. I have a number of responsibilities, and the most important is to recognize people in the room. Frankly, the highest ranking person in the room, and Kate Brown, you look really hot tonight, wherever you are. Check it out. Like, really hot. Kate, we talk about history. We have 3 governors in the United States now representing the LGBTQ community. But we have Jared Polis, we have Mara Healy, and Tina Kotek. But the first was Kate Brown in Oregon, and we need to recognize that. Because there's always a first, and firsts matter. Matters even more when you have the second and the third. And guess what? In Oregon last year, we elected a legacy seat. A legacy seat. Because Tina Kotek took Kate Brown's seat. That matters. But we have a number of elected officials tonight, and this was actually not my responsibility, and if I get somebody's name wrong, I am really sorry. But we've already heard from Illinois State Senator Mike Simmons, Indiana State Senator J.D. Ford. Yeah, my eyes used to be better too. J.D. Ford. Some aldermen here, Chicago City Council Alderman, Chicago City Alderman Timmy Knutson. Chicago Alderman Lamont Robinson. That's all Lamont over there. Alderman Bennett Lawson. Right. Cook County Commissioner Kevin Morrison. And you're going to hear from her in a minute, but Metropolitan Water Reclamation Commissioner Precious Brady Davis. And if there's anybody else that I missed, who, what? Give me names, I can't see. Shout it out, come on. Samantha Steele, all right, thank you, congratulations, and thank you for being here. Lenny. Anybody else? So I also have the responsibility and the honor of introducing some of the Victory folks who are here tonight. We have too many pieces of paper is what we have. Victory Fund board member Kevin Morrison, and you've already heard from, and Victory Fund brand new board member Lori Lightfoot. Victory's a bundling organization, and that means that while Victory does contribute to candidates, and we provide a lot of additional to support to candidates, a lot of it, campaign consulting and so forth, we are primarily engaged in trying to energize a group of donors across the country to invest in the candidates that we have found and presented to them. And our most dedicated bundlers across the country are our Victory Campaign Board members. And if you're a campaign board member, raise your hand. We have Justin DeJong, Justin Hill, Jinsu Hu, Kim Hunt, Clark Pellet, Eric Wilkerson, Daquavis Winston, Patty Flynn. All of you, thank you for your dedication to our candidates. Now, we don't do events like this without sponsorships. Our national sponsor this year is DaVita. Thank you to DaVita. Our silver sponsor, Barnes Thornburg LLP. And our bronze sponsor, Clark Pellet and Robert Cole. Thank you for what you do for Victory. Okay, y'all all know this is a fundraiser, right? You do know that, right? Let me tell you a little bit about what we've been doing, and hopefully it'll get you excited about what you can do with Victory. We had an amazing year this last year. This is a down ballot year. This is the year where we focus on city council races, where we focus on school board races. There are a handful of legislative races across the country, but this is really about local government, about the government that is closest to the people. We always have slightly fewer candidates in the odd-numbered years, in that down ballot year. Well, we used to. Anyway, we had close to 350 candidates this year. And we try to have a reasonable win rate where, you know, we're pushing hard, we're finding candidates. We generally endorse about half of the candidates that we are able to identify, and we hope that, you know, 65% of those candidates win. We had a 70% win rate overall. We had an 80% win rate on election night. If all of the races that are still pending, if they go the wrong way, and they won't, I assure you, we'll still end up the year with a 70% win rate. We have some amazing candidates and some amazing successes, and it will only get better and stronger next year. But in order for us to support that many candidates, in order to do the work across the country, we need a lot of help. Tippy talked about being a caucus of one. There's a caucus of one in Alabama. There's a caucus of one in Tennessee. There's a caucus of one in Mississippi. In fact, this is brand new. Fabian Nelson just became the first out member of the Mississippi legislature. It is hard to be a caucus of one. The South is not hopeless. There are now 9 members of the Texas House. There are multiple members of the legislature in Georgia. We can make gains in the toughest places. The right candidate in the right place can win, unquestionably. But they need help. Let me tell you a little story about Fabian Nelson. Fabian is my current, I know, I have a lot of favorites in the room, but Fabian Nelson's my current favorite candidate because he's such a nice guy, and maybe an improbable candidate because he ran 2 years ago and he lost badly. I think he got 30 votes in his legislative district. He wasn't a very good candidate, but we we're interested in Fabian because he is a really good, solid guy. He's a realtor, knows everybody in the community, and he really wanted to serve. We said, let us help you. Go to one of our trainings. Work with us early. We will teach you how to be a better candidate. We will teach you how to win this race. And we did do that. But the reason that we made the investment in Fabian is because it wasn't just that we could turn him into something he wasn't. We could help him find his path to success. One of the things you may not know, Fabian represents the Jackson, Mississippi area. Some of you may have heard about some of the problems in Jackson. Jackson's where the legislature came in and took over their judiciary. Jackson had a bunch of problems. One of the things that Jackson, Mississippi didn't do was they didn't renew their garbage pickup contract. Mayor Lightfoot, can you imagine? They didn't renew their garbage pickup contract, so they weren't picking up trash in neighborhoods. Fabian went out, rented a trailer, hitched it to his pickup truck, and went door to door in his soon-to-be legislative district, picking up trash for senior citizens and the disabled. Several weeks, every day, going out, picking up trash, hauling it away for them. Now, he's not stupid. He put a sign in everybody's yard with permission when he picked up the trash. And one of the stories that came back to the campaign, because we had somebody on the ground with him in the last weeks of the campaign, was a very elderly woman. It's a almost entirely black district. It's a very elderly woman, and there was a lot of campaigning against him in the churches. And one of his opponents showed up on this woman's doorstep and was talking trash about Fabian and his sign, which is in her yard. You know this, he used a lot of slur words. You know this guy's gay. You know this guy's queer. Can you, and the woman's like, I didn't know this. She was shocked to find this out. And his opponent's trash talking him, and finally he says, well, are you still going to support him? She goes, yes. Honey, 80 years no straight politician has ever picked up my trash. That's the hardest service you need, but that's also the practical realities of campaigning. And that's why we can win when we have the tools to do it. There are cards on the tables. There's QR codes if you want to pull out a credit card. We need your help. If we had 350 candidates this year, we had 500 candidates last year, we will have many, many more. We should hit 700 possibly next year. We cannot do it without a lot of help, and help from folks in this room. Your participation matters. And the beauty of a bundling pack is that if you give to Victory, we can support all of these candidates. But you can also choose how to direct your funds. I know Justin Hill is in the room somewhere. We have what is now called the Black Leaders Caucus within Victory. And we have a dedicated fund if you want to support black candidates across the country. Turn in your card and tell us that's where you want your gift to go. If you want to support school board candidates, we have a dedicated fund for school board candidates across the country. And we also have a targeted initiative we call the Magnolia Initiative, so that we can turn those caucuses of 1 into caucuses of 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and actually begin to make a difference in those places. Please, think about what it means when someone like Tippy stands alone in the well in her legislature and has to speak up. She needs help, but it's more than that, because bad bills start in those legislatures, particularly in the South, and they metastasize. Mike was talking about bad bills coming up here. They don't stay contained. They metastasize and infect other places. And they ruin lives in the process. We're the best line of defense for that. So thank you for being here and supporting us. Please, 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 take one of these cards, fill it out, pick up the QR code, and join us in this effort. Now, I mentioned her earlier. I'm going to ask Precious Brady Davis to come up and make an introduction.
Good evening. Is this on? Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? I want to congratulate Mona Noriega and Jim Bennett on their awards tonight. Such an inspiration. It's great to see Mayor Lightfoot in the house. I love her. It's crazy what can happen in a year. A year ago, I stood on this platform, addressed this room, and I had just lost my race for the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, where I became the first Black trans woman to appear on the ballot in Cook County history. 126,000 votes. Heartbroken at the time. I felt like I had given it my best shot. But a year later, I was delayed but not denied when I was appointed by Governor J.B. Pritzker to the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, where I am currently serving as Commissioner protecting the source of our drinking water, Lake Michigan, fighting climate change. I stand on the great shoulders of Deb Shore. And I'm at the age where if you live long enough, you get to start telling stories. And it was a little over a decade ago when there were two young Black trans girls working at the Kit Kat Lounge in Boys Town. Angelica Ross has always been a firebrand. She is a talent. She is multi-hyphenate. She has always cared about her community. And I feel like something that people don't often talk about Angelica in her work, she launched the Trans Life Center when the Trans Life Center was here in Chicago. Angelica was a part of launching that program. And there was a remnant of Black trans women who were working in social services at the time, who were committed to serving our community. Shannon Parker, myself, Angelica Ross. And Angelica has always been fierce about serving those who are most marginalized. She is passionate about using her voice unapologetically. I owe so much gratitude to her because many also don't know that it is because of Angelica that I am with Miles. Miles used her to play Love Connection. Many people don't know this. And so Angelica was a beautiful bridesmaid in my wedding, so I feel a personal connection to her. So I count her as a sister, someone who I can have the most beautiful, frank conversation with. She understands community. She understands it's important to gird the next generation of LGBTQ youth with tools. She counts herself as the founder of Trans Tech, an incubator for LGBTQ talent and marginalized folks. One of the other things that I've also always loved about Angelica is she's a brilliant songstress. She's a beautiful pianist. And one of the greatest things that I've seen in one of my friends do in this life, earlier this year, I got to see her play Roxy Hart on Broadway. As a Black trans woman, to see your friend on Broadway living the height of her truth, living her dream. It was also beautiful seeing her show that beautiful representation of Black queer drag in Pose. Did anybody see Pose? As Candy Abundance. And gave us a memorable performance of Never Knew Love Like This Before that we will never, ever forget. I am so proud to call you my friend. You are the epitome of Black excellence, Angelica. Angelica recently also completed the Victory Fund campaign training. And she is going to be soon kicking off her political career. And let me tell you, I have watched her soar, and I can't wait to see what she's going to do in the halls of government. Angelica, I am so honored that you would come back to join us tonight and for all of us to celebrate you. Please welcome my friend, Angelica Love Ross.
Hello, everyone. Oh my God, that was kind of weak. Hello, everyone. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. I just want to say thank you so much and hello to everyone and our distinguished guests, so many of you here, and all you amazing advocates for LGBTQ plus rights. I might have to put this in my hand, we'll see. Yes, there we go. I stand today before you with a sense of urgency, but also hope, and absolutely ready to address a few critical issues that are of paramount importance in our political landscape, including the imperative for LGBTQ plus individuals to run for office in 2024. Particularly in a time when our country faces hundreds of anti-trans bills being introduced across the country. I also want to take this moment to extend my personal endorsement to a remarkable candidate, Miss Precious Brady Davis, who is running for Chicago Commissioner at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. I said that without stuttering. Before I dive into the urgency and importance of LGBTQ plus representation in politics, though, let me first express my gratitude for being here today, and I want to make it abundantly clear. I was not paid to be here. Those of you who know me as well as Precious knows me know that I do not play about my money, but also understands that as serious as I am about getting my money, I'm even more focused on value. As a Black trans woman, it is a quite radical feat to know your worth and command it. You know what I mean? So please understand me when I tell you that I am very aware of how important it is for me to stand up here right now and say that we need to call for a ceasefire. Absolutely. And we need to call for it now. I did not stutter, nor do I need to feel the need to explain, because we have amazing congresswomen like AOC who very clearly laid out last night what we mean when we say ceasefire. We want to stop the violence all around the world. So go check her Instagram. Now that I got that out of the way, let's turn our attention to another pressing issue at hand. In recent years, we have seen a surge in anti-LGBTQ plus legislation across the United States. From discriminatory bathroom bills to bans on transgender health care, our community is under attack like we've never seen before. These bills are often fueled by fear and ignorance. And they're not only harmful, but also a direct assault on the fundamental principles of what we say when we mean equality and justice that this nation was founded on. In this time of crisis, it is so important that LGBTQ plus individuals step forward and run for office. Why, you say? Because representation matters. And when we have diverse voices in the halls of power, we can shape the policies that reflect our values and experiences, and we can ensure that the rights and dignity of LGBTQ people are protected and upheld. And we can absolutely be the change makers that dismantle the oppressive systems that have held us back for way too long. We can do this. But let's be clear, it's not just about running for those offices, it's about winning those seats. And that's where organizations like the Victory Institute come into play. The Victory Institute has been at the forefront of supporting LGBTQ candidates, providing training, mentorship, and resources to help them succeed in their political campaigns. As you heard, I just went to a training, so I'm getting ready. Their work is invaluable, and it empowers individuals from our community to break down barriers and shatter that glass ceiling. So I'm here tonight to highlight someone who embodies the spirit of resilience, determination, leadership that we so desperately need in our political landscape. Ms. Precious Brady Davis. Yes, girl. You have been a tireless advocate for the transgender and LGBTQ plus rights, and your journey as an activist, as an author. If you haven't read her book, I Have Always Been Me, it is incredible. It is absolutely incredible. You are nothing short of inspiring, Precious. You have faced adversity head on, and you have told your story and your passion, and it is changing the world. You're changing the world, sister. I have had the honor of standing next to Precious at her wedding as a bridesmaid, as she mentioned. I've crashed on her couch in the early days of building my nonprofit, Trans Tech Social Enterprises, to which Ms. Precious Davis was, for a very short time, our first board president for Trans Tech. I have bore witness to this woman's power to envision a world for herself with an incredible husband, as my friend Miles, and now two beautiful children. Two beautiful children, while also affirming such outlandish visions, like her sister over here, who thinks she can just do everything. But she has affirmed my audacity, and I love you for that, Precious. Your candidacy is a beacon of hope in these very challenging times. You represent the strength and resilience of our community. And your campaign serves as a testament to the progress that we can make when we stand together and we demand to have a seat at that table. So as we look forward into 2024's election, I want to urge all LGBTQ individuals in politics, we need you. That cannot be overstated, especially when we are facing a barrage of anti-trans bills that are threatening our community. Organizations like the Victory Institute provide essential support to candidates, and I wholeheartedly endorse the work that they are doing and endorse my friend Precious Brady Davis for her campaign at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. And I just want us to remember, take it from me, your worth is immeasurable. There's no position, no job, no title, or no word that could ever encompass the entirety of the amazingness that you are and what is latent in your life. I want you to know that we can come together, we can overcome adversity, we can create change, and we can build a future that makes it safe for all LGBTQ people and our allies, everyone, no matter how you identify. Thank you so much for your support, for your time, and your commitment to a more inclusive and just society. And just know that together, we are going to flip these tables and change the world, baby. Thank you.